Good morning, welcome to Al-Ameen TV. Top global headline today, June 17, 2025, Middle East tensions. Israel-Iran conflict escalates. Israel launched airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites, targeting Natanz and Isfahan, citing intelligence that Iran was nearing nuclear weapons capability. Iran retaliated with missile barrages, hitting Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv and Haifa. The conflict has escalated, with global leaders urging restraint, while the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting. U.S. politics, Trump's National Guard deployment in Los Angeles. The U.S. Appeals Court temporarily allowed Trump to keep control of the National Guard in Los Angeles, reversing an earlier ruling that found his deployment illegal. The case will be heard on June 17th, with California Governor Gavin Newsom challenging the decision. The deployment follows protests against immigration raids, with critics arguing it violates state authority. European affairs. Macron condemns Iran for destabilizing the Middle East. French President Emmanuel Macron condemned Iran for destabilizing the Middle East, citing its nuclear ambitions. He urged restraint but acknowledged that diplomatic efforts to revive the Iran nuclear deal will be difficult. Macron also warned of economic consequences, stating that Iran's activities threaten European stability. Asia. North Korea relaunches warship after failed attempt. North Korea successfully relaunched a warship after a failed attempt in May, with Kim Jong-un vowing to build 2 more warships next year. The destroyer, named Kong Khan, was restored and moved to the Rajan shipyard. The failed launch had led to arrests of shipyard officials, as Kim called it a criminal act. Africa. Nigeria pardons activist Ken Saro-Wiwa 30 years after execution. Nigeria pardoned activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others, nearly 3 decades after their execution by the Abacha military regime. President Bola Tinubu also conferred national honors on them, recognizing their contributions to democracy. While the pardon was welcomed, some activists called for full exoneration, arguing that the charges were politically motivated. Business and economy. Global oil prices surge amid Israel-Iran conflict. Global oil prices soared past $75 per barrel following Israel's attacks on Iran. Traders fear disruptions to Middle East oil supplies, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, which handles 20% of global crude exports. Experts warn that prolonged uncertainty could lead to inflation spikes worldwide. Aviation disaster. Air India crash investigation continues. The second black box was recovered from the Air India crash site in Ahmedabad, aiding the investigation into the tragedy that killed 270 people. DNA identification efforts continue, with 119 victims matched so far. Authorities are examining engine failure, flat malfunction, and incorrect thrust calculations as possible causes. Technology and innovation. AI-driven avatars and digital assistants evolve. AI-driven avatars and digital assistants are advancing rapidly, with businesses integrating them into customer service, education, and healthcare. The AVATAI cloud platform debuted at Super AI Singapore 2025, allowing enterprises to deploy lifelike 3D avatars. Microsoft and other tech firms are leading innovations in multimodal AI assistance, enhancing human-digital interaction. Cricket. World Test Championship Final. Australia is ahead after the opening day against South Africa, with Josh Hazlewood picked over Scott Boland. India vs England Test Series. Jasprit Bumrah earns high praise from India's bowling coach Morn Morkel for his intensity at training. County Championship. Left-handed batter Tilak Verma is set to represent Hampshire after being approached by the English club. Football. Mad Cup 2025. St. Xavier's Collegiate School from Kolkata will face Atletico Madrid and so Kalalais in the youth tournament, marking a historic moment for Indian football. UEFA Nations League Final. Portugal beat Spain on penalties in Munich, but the match was overshadowed by a tragic incident where a fan lost his life after falling from the stands. Basketball. NBA Finals. Indiana Pacers beat Oklahoma City Thunder 116-107 in Game 3, taking a 2-1 lead in the series. This is the report of the day. Please stay tuned for the future updates from Al-Ameen TV.